What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dalton. I ride and race bikes, and today I'm bringing you Stage 2 of the Verne Stage Race. Stage 1 was a TT. It was supposed to be up Glendora Mountain Road out here in sunny SoCal, and unfortunately it was canceled due to some permitting issues. I don't really know the deal. I don't want to speculate. All I know is the USAC folks were apologizing, so you know, who knows what happened. It is what it is. Nobody did the TT, so today we are doing Stage 2, the road race. So, on the agenda, we've got a 60-mile road race. Now, this was probably the most chaotic race, I think, that I have seen in a very, very long time, for a lot of reasons. So, the course first, I guess, is where we'll start here. It's like 7 to 8 miles. There were a couple, well, there's really like one major hill, but it was only like probably 45-second to 1 minute roller. It was definitely a climb. It was hard, but it was not like a sustained, like, categorized climb or anything. Other than that, there were a few rollers. You can kind of see right now we're hitting a pretty steady hill, and it definitely cost you some wattage. Now, the beginning of this race, just to touch on it real quick, there was a massive crash, took out probably, you know, almost half the field. The field is 84 guys deep, so I think, you know, it's super unfortunate. You hate seeing it. I think 4 to 6 guys were carted off in an ambulance. I hope that everybody who broke a bone, a bike, anything, you know, get better soon. My whole team also crashed in this situation, and the crash started at like 15th wheel, so it was just the luck of the draw for you. We basically had 4 guys today, me, Zach, Spencer, and Adam, and when we crashed, we all went down. Spencer's front wheel completely crashed and is all crunchy now. Adam's bike was having mechanical issues on the front fork and the front wheel and all that area, so it was pretty gnarly. Thankfully, nobody was hurt too bad. I mean, Zach had a couple bumps and bruises, a little bit of road rash. I got a pedal to the inside of the leg, not a big deal. I kind of just fell on top of Zach and then went fetal position, so there's that. What you're seeing now, though, is the last lap. It was a 7 to 8 mile, kind of a circuit, and we did 8 laps over the course of this. It's just kind of how road races go out here in SoCal, especially like Cat 3 stuff. We don't really have like point-to-point road races. So the feature that is probably the biggest decider is coming up here in a couple minutes. The descents were, you know, not a big deal. They were super fast, but then they set you up for like kind of a corner to corner through a parking lot. The thing I will say is there was a lot of random road furniture. Like, I just hopped that stinking grate right there entering the bridge, and this is like a section through a park, and so there was just a lot of bumps. I think that's also what caused the crash originally that took out the whole field. They did do a neutral restart, so I guess getting into the race here and kind of what happened, myself and Zach and 2 other guys, just other random dudes, were just absolutely drilling, trying to chase back on. We got the group back within probably 20 seconds or so, and they shut it down and actually did a neutral restart. So that was helpful, but we had already chased for probably 8 miles, so the feeling was not good after putting in probably a normalized power of 3 something, you know, 4.5 watts per kilo for 8 miles, was less than ideal. So what you're seeing here is we're coming into the parking lot, and this parking lot is basically your last chance to build momentum before you hit what is known as Hecklers Hill. And so there's tons of people at the top spraying you with squirt guns, doing the thing, and you can see the pace picks up here. It just goes hard, like 33 miles an hour, and I want to carry all this momentum through this. I PR'd this at like 560 watts for 50 seconds or something, so I was trying to keep the effort low and just maintain the effort, make it as steady as possible. But dude, I swear I got gapped here like almost every lap, and it was just brutal. Like, I'm about 155, 160 pounds right now, and I think my threshold's probably sitting somewhere around 305 or whatever, but it was just brutal. Like, there's nothing I can say. I'm not a tiny little climber, dude. Like, it's just not my jam. I've been training. I finally got some threshold efforts in, did a little bit of a threshold block, but still have yet to do anything VO2, so these efforts hurt, that's for sure. And so as we crest the top of the hill here, you're going to see I sort of start just kind of, you know, losing some positions, and everybody's kind of leaving me. Now, I'm not extremely worried, and I'm not extremely worried for a few reasons. There's kind of this weird downhill coming, and then we cut across a dam, and then after the dam, you bang out this like hard right-hander, and it kicks uphill again. Now, the hard right-hander, the group was just like grabbing a ton of brakes and slowing up, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna send it, and I just kind of stay on the gas across the top of the dam, close as much space as I can here, and then what you guys are gonna see, and it's pretty interesting, is like, for some reason, nobody in this race understood how to take that next corner. And the next corner, I realized the whole race, every time I would get popped off at Hecklers Hill, just by a little bit here, I would chase, just do kind of threshold wattage or tempo. Don't panic. That's the thing that I see a lot of people, you know, they think, oh my god, I gotta immediately close this gap. Well, if you keep it steady and just keep it a little bit maintained, your heart rate's not gonna spike all crazy. So Rich with Team 6, he's kind of doing the same thing. He had been taking this corner hot too. So both he and I don't think we were too worried. But this is the last lap, so if you get dropped here, it's game over. And I'm not saying we didn't have to do an effort here. So carry a ton of speed there and immediately back on the pedal. And everybody's kind of just hammering it, heading up this hill, and you can see my power numbers are just cranking. But I know here, like, dude, we are probably within like 3 or 4K to go at this point. So in my head, I'm like, all right, if I don't patch it up here and I get dropped, then I am not going to finish with the group. Something to note, there is a break up the road of 4 guys, and they initially had a 1:40 gap on us. We didn't know it, but the gap got cut down to 22 seconds. So this last lap was so hot, and they played enough games that we had brought it pretty close. So as you can see, everybody, like, you know, nobody really knows exactly what to do here because we're still pretty far out. I don't have legs to, like, lead Zach out. Zach really doesn't have legs, I don't think, to lead me out. Neither of us really know how we're planning on finishing. Like, all our plans kind of just went to crap when, you know, 2 of our guys got crashed out of the race. So I told Zach there, I was like, hey, man, I'm on your wheel. I don't know what that's going to do, you know? So I'm just surfing here, and I'm trying to find my way through the group and move up because I understand fully that I'm out of position here. And so, you know, this Canes rider, I don't know why he was doing this. He just, like, swung over super sharp, like, right into my front wheel. And I'm like, man, like, this is just dangerous with 2K to go, and there's absolutely no reason that we're doing this at this point. Like, so I kind of get pushed off Zach's wheel there because I'm not trying to crash. We've already seen enough of that today. And I knew, you know, we were far enough out that I could get back to the wheel, no problem. So these guys are kind of pushing forward, but they're not willing to, like, take the nose and actually drill it. And I'm like, all right, man, like, what are we doing? I don't know, but at the same time, I want to be where I'm at, right? Like, you can see, I'm not doing a ton of wattage here. I'm doing, like, you know, sub 200 most of the time, getting good recovery in, and I can see the front of the group. Just something to note, too, is we had dropped so many people at this point. We were down to, I think, like, I don't know, 20 riders in the lead group. Yeah, I think all that's left here is 20. Everybody else had been dropped, and, like, only 43 people actually finished the stage. So between the crash, the major crash in the first lap, 8 minutes in, and then obviously, you know, just war of attrition stuff, yeah, we were down to nothing. I had tried to get off the front after we restarted and bridge to the break that was up the road, and what I realized is this 3HC team, I was trying to work with this guy, and he wouldn't work with me, and turns out his teammate was up the road, and so that was just brutal. But we're coming into like 1K to go right here, and it's getting spicy, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna move up, and I'm trying to figure out where I can move up, and I see, like, all right, I'm still on Zach's wheel. And then Zach just goes, right as I was thinking, like, hey, I'm going to get in front of Zach and just, like, sawed up and hit it. Zach jumps, and he's just flying. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to get back to his wheel so he can kind of lead me out. But then I'm like, wait a second. He's still going. He's gapping everybody here. I kind of die, and I give it one last-ditch effort. And I'm doing 36 miles an hour, and I'm like, wait a second. If I keep going, I might drag everybody to his wheel. So I kind of just sit up on the front here. And I just am screaming. I'm like, go, dude. You have a gap. Don't look back. Just keep going. And so Zach ends up getting the best of the rest, takes the field sprint with like a perfectly timed long bomb, like out of nowhere. You know, so thinking back on that, like what I would have done differently, and, you know, let's rewind real quick and check it out again. I want to talk through what I would have done differently at the finish. Okay, so obviously, as you can see, we're back at like, you know, I think we're like 1K out right here, maybe just a little bit over. I should have been a little more assertive, kept Zach's wheel there, and that way it would have probably led to a lead out, but people start moving out, and I should have taken those wheels up. Right here also, when Zach goes, this is kind of a key moment for me. I know everybody is going to chase Zach. They have to, right? If they don't follow him, it's game over. I could have held up and gotten on the dude in blue's wheel right there. So I think it's SC Velo Rider. If I would have just stayed back and followed his wheel instead and been a little bit more patient, you'll see. He ends up coming around me, and I think he takes like second or third in the field sprint. And right here, he jumps around me. So if I would have just held back and gotten on his wheel, I would have been galloping to probably, you know, the next top place finish. So Zach wraps up 5th in this. If I would have just played that a little smarter, I think I probably could have come around and gotten the 6th spot, but instead I kind of roasted myself, and then I sat up on the front, and, you know, maybe that helped give Zach some of that separation because nobody came around me. But at the same time, you know, who knows? Hindsight is 2020, obviously, but nonetheless, I don't know. I'm stoked on this road race result. Yeah, Zach took 5th in the field sprint, and I finished with the main pack, which is 22 seconds off of GC. So stay tuned, folks, and we will check out the crit on the next video.